over, which is great. At some point, I will do some screen sharing. So it looks like we are now live and streaming. Let's just do a quick check. Yes, we are. Okay, so we are now live. What we'll do, we've just got it's a couple of minutes to go until it's time, and then once we get to that point, then we'll start the actual talk. Generally, you're all good.
Yes, yes, I'm fine, and I'm hearing you, and I hope the connection is okay. But I'm in southwest of France right now, so it's
European internet speed should hold up. When we've done some of the other interviews in like Philippines, or they were over in Roatan, then the internet speed was a little bit hit and miss, but we've always managed it.
But I'm not in a big city. I'm like in my family place, and it's creative mode. So
Okay. So you're not in the diving center today?
no.
Day off?
Yes, kind of. I'm working in the house, and I'm driving back tomorrow to Brittany. So.
What kind of drive is that? How far you have?
Oh, it's 6 to 7 hours, something like this.
Ooh.
Brittany, the place I'm living in Brittany, Brest is at the far end of Brittany. So.
Okay. So put it in perspective, I can easily go from east to west of UK in that time and back again, probably.
Yeah.
It shows the size difference, doesn't it? Okay, so we have some people entering to watch. I've got about 30 so far, different people. Chris from Australia is once again watching in. Hey, Chris. Amal from Lebanon. The nice thing is with these, I don't know whether you've noticed from any of the others, we seem to get a real mixture of where people are coming from to actually watch the interview. Some of them are getting up like super early in the morning.
Yeah.
Or some of them staying up late. So like Australia now, that's probably beer o'clock in the afternoon. Oh yeah, a few more then coming in. Cool. What is your plan? When do you actually have to be on the road again? Do you have any?
I'm driving back tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
So at least you can actually get somewhere. We're still in Wales. We're a little bit still far behind. They still won't let us leave. And we can go out within like a 5-mile perimeter of our house, and that's it.
So. Okay. No, in France, we were allowed to move like 100 kilometers away a month ago, and everything reopened like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. We've had it's been a little bit annoying here. They did open up the sea. We could do like some boat diving, not for us in Wales, but for those guys in England. And so a few people managed to get out on a boat, and then like a couple of days later, a different department of the government then closed it down.
We had the same in the south at the beginning. They were allowed to dive for a few days, and then it was forbidden again. And after a few days, they were reauthorized to dive again. So
yeah, we just seem to get like some, I don't know, inconsistencies in the information coming through. Sort of, one department is saying one thing, and then something different from somebody else.
Different levels of organization from the state and the regions.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we're happy some of the inland sites started to open up, but it's like restricted numbers or restricted timings when they can come back. Yeah. Hey, at least it's something. We should be happy with that. Okay, we've just got a few more people coming in, but we can start off. So just a reminder for those who are watching our interview, first of all, welcome. This is let's say an interactive interview / presentation. So if anybody has some questions that they want to fire at us, then please do so. Use the messages part of Facebook chat, and then we will try and answer those questions as efficiently as we can. For any questions that we miss out, then sorry for that. We'll try and do like a Q&A section at the end as well. Failing that, if we've still missed a question, then after we finish, we'll go through that chat box and then reply to anybody that we failed to do so. Right, so enough from me to begin with. I think we need a little bit from you. So how about you kind of introduce yourself, give a little bit of a brief description, who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Okay, so I'm Emmanuel Dugrenot. I'm from France. I'm living here in France. I don't know exactly where in France, but I'm between Brittany and the southwest of France. My family is from southwest, and I'm still diving in the south, in the Var, southeast. We are in the Mediterranean Sea, where you can find a lot of wrecks and very cool dives. And in Brittany, it's like in England, actually, the conditions, the dives are quite harder. The visibility is limited, and a lot of currents and everything. So in the south, it's quite easier. But I am a scuba diving instructor for a few years now. But beside, I'm also working in a research lab on decompression sickness. I'm finishing my PhD these days. I'm trying to finish my manuscript. So,
so lockdown has been quite good. It's given you time to be at home and get writing.
Yeah, but now in France, lockdown is over, so I'm back in the sea and back on the boat, and I will need to find some time to finish it. So
back in the happy place. We'll never ever complain about having to go out on boats or do diving like ever again.
I'm sure I managed to find time to finish it. So.
Yeah. And listen, how did you first of all get into diving? Was it kind of your studies led you to diving, or diving was a pleasure and then studies came from that?
No, I started diving. I was like 20 years old, something like this. But I grew up in Paris, and I was when I was a child. I was sometimes quite hard with my parents, and my mother
probably not on your own. I think a few of us could say the same thing.
Was putting me when I was watching TV, like Jacques Cousteau, Odyssey movies. I was quiet, so they recorded all the Cousteau adventures, and I was watching it, and I wanted to dive since I was very young, but I had the opportunity only about 20 years old. So.
Okay, so but that was just for like pleasure, for holiday diving, something like that, I guess.
Yeah, for holidays. It was recreational at the beginning, and during my master degree, I had the opportunity to help in a dive center for my holidays, and it was like a job during the holidays, and it was quite a cool job. So I finished all my instructor degrees, and I started working in the scuba diving industry during the summer.
Okay, so I guess like when you were growing up, it wasn't ever the dream, I'm going to be a diving instructor. It just kind of came about then, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. I grew up in Paris, and I was working in the biomedical field at the beginning. I was studying like biochemistry and molecular biology, so I wasn't even wonder about becoming a scuba diving instructor at the beginning.
So you already had kind of like the interest in the scientific part of it. You then added the practical part of it.
Yeah, the thing is, when I came to my instructor degree, then I realized that decompression sickness and decompression protocols are not that sure as I thought at that time. So, and as I was working in molecular biology, it was more like about cancers or something like this. And for me, it was definitely more interesting to work on decompression sickness. So I had the opportunity to join both.
Yeah,
it was great.
So what is like, what's the end goal? You're now doing this study, this PhD. Where do you see yourself in the future? What do you want to do with this studies?
Actually, we're working on models for decompression sickness and to better understand the decompression sickness mechanisms. But now we have to to transfer these results from animals to or from cells to humans.
Yeah.
So I think for the next years, I still have a lot of work to do on that field.
So the poor animals at the moment.
No, at the moment they're a bit quiet because of the lockdown. But yeah, we're working on the lab on on animal models or
Yeah.
cells.
Yeah.
Depends on what we want to what we want to study. But we developed like kind of a resistant rat strain to decompression sickness, and we that was my the goal of my PhD was to like to understand why this rat strain is different from the normal rats. So.
Okay. And that your studies we're going to get onto also a little bit later on. But let's move on to this topic of this underwater habitat, because I think for
Yeah.
most people like me, they will find it fascinating. To begin with, the first I'd ever heard of an underwater habitat, because of course I've been based in Egypt, is down in Sudan.
Yeah.
Have what is it called, the pre-continent, something like that, which was one of the original habitats by Jacques Cousteau. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to screen share. Well, I'm going to try and screen share to show people actually what we're going to be talking about here. Share screen. I want to share that screen. Share. Okay. So hopefully what people are now looking at, tell me, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
everything.
that's what we're talking about when we're referring to an underwater habitat, right?
Yeah, that's a modern underwater habitat because at the beginning, Cousteau's and all the first underwater habitats were bigger and they had quite an impact on the environment. But this one is it's under the underwater project, name it the capsule, and
Yeah.
it's like it's actually it's just like a rebreather. You have soda lime inside and circulating gas and analyzer, injectors, and everything. And you can move the capsule from place to another, and you will fix it on the ground with the ballast, and then it was more for like a lighter underwater habitat to allow scientific divers to observe the environment for a few days or for a few weeks, and then after remove the capsule.
Okay, so, and again, a lot of people like me, I have no clue about these things. So this thing starts off on the surface. So you and your team, you enter the habitat while it's on the surface. So while it's on a boat, I guess.
No.
No?
We are placing the capsule on the site first.
Okay.
Filling it with the mixture the diver are going to breathe. It's like helium and oxygen mixture. And then when everything is ready, the diver can enter the capsule and stay inside for a few days.
Okay, so the capsule goes down to whatever depth it's going to sit at.
Yeah.
The diver then dives down.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they enter the capsule.
Guylain, the head of under the project, made the capsule. He wanted the capsule to be like a base camp in like mountain climbing and everything. So
okay, yeah, I get you. So the base where everything is.
Yeah. It was he wanted it definitely like a base camp to allow divers to start from that point on the water to observe the environment and then come back to the capsule and get some rest and lunch.
What depth is this capsule at? That was in your project. At what depth was it at?
It was at 20 meters.
Okay, so not so deep down actually.
No, so deep down. But the divers were staying 3 days inside the capsule during the project, so that was a saturation dive, but a shallow one.
Okay, but what? So in this capsule, like explain to us what type of size is it inside?
It's very small. It's like 4.5 cube meters, something like this.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, and there were maximum 3 divers inside, but they were more comfortable. I think when there were only 2, and
I was gonna say, when you say there was only like 3 people, I'm thinking like 3 people stuck in one capsule that's like 4 meters wide. That's quite tight, right?
yeah, it's very small actually. But the goal was to observe and to start from the capsule. We were bringing the team around was bringing the divers some food, and the rebreather were outside, and they were allowed to leave the capsule for a few hours every day, and to move to observe the environment. And we were in charge with my lab and my company,
Yeah.
because also I'm running a company working on decompression models, integrating like result from the labs and putting it in the decompression models. And we were checking the divers, and because the thing is, during a saturation dives, normally it takes about 20 hours to reach the surface when you're starting from 20 meters, because the normal ascent rate is about 30 meters per day. So it was not possible with a rebooster. So the idea was to accelerate the decompression after a saturation dive, to allow them to reach the surface like in few hours, with a rebooster on the back. So we accelerated the decompression, and we were watching the divers and monitoring them to be sure that they can reach the surface in a good condition.
Okay, so like it's a funny thing. So when we're thinking underwater habitats and everything comes into mind, like the movies.
Yeah.
See the movies and they've got their own like personal gym, and they've got their kitchen and their lovely modern bathrooms. The image that I have here doesn't quite look like that.
No, as you can see, there were no bathroom in the capsule, and actually, we were bringing them food and everything they need every day, but they can stay for a few days, like autonomously, if they bringing at the beginning enough supplies. But it was made for a few days only, not for
Sure.
months or.
So you guys would be in there, and then you would go out periodically to do the actual diving. How many times a day were you physically out doing the research project, out diving?
The divers were allowed to leave for 3 hours maximum per day.
Okay, and that was all rebreather diving, was it?
Yeah. We breathe diving every time. They were breathing like PO2 at 0.4 inside the capsule, and
Yeah.
it was a mixture of helium and oxygen. So it was about 14% of oxygen and 86% of helium inside.
So when, and I, again, my stupidity a little bit here. So when you finish your dive,
yeah,
you then need to enter a separate part of this capsule, obviously to get off equipment, to get dry. How does that work?
Actually, the suits and the rebreather were just under the capsule, and they were bringing everything inside the capsule. They were putting the suit inside and breathing on the rebreather at the beginning. Inside the capsule, it was like pre-breathing,
Yeah.
just like in the spatial, like for the extravehicular exits before to exit the space ship. The guys are breathing oxygen, and doing this just the same here. So 2 hours breathing on the rebreather inside the capsule, and then 2 hours of deco. So they were able to reach the surface in 4 hours.
That's good,
5 of 20. So.
And when you actually out of the capsule, so explain to us what was the mission of that? What were you doing while you were outside? I mean, were you counting fish? What were you doing?
Okay, me, I was just checking the divers with the physiological team, but the divers were supposed to observe fish, corals, they were counting fishes and watching for the corals reproduction, and there are a lot of goals during the project. First, we after we validate the protocols, and it takes a few weeks to be sure that everything was okay with the protocols. And after that, they spent a few weeks also to work with a research lab in marine biology to count fishes and to observe their life all day long, and then to watch the corals and everything. Actually, the goal of Under the Pole expedition is to bring heavy logistics for deep dives or very particular dives, and to do some sampling or some measurement for research labs and scientific who could not do that.
Sure. And this project, we haven't actually said to the people in which location. Where were you doing this?
In French Polynesia, in Muria Island, just outside the reef.
And then later on, we'll get a map up and show people actually where we're talking about that. But I guess, so they do this project, they go down, they count their fish, they gather their information. And the project is Under the Pole. Has it gone back to the same location to do further studies? Is the plan for it to go back to the same area, or it was just kind of a one-off thing?
They spent a year in French Polynesia at the beginning on doing some sampling for deep corals.
Okay.
The year before, and after that we stay for a few months to the capsule project, and now they will move to the next part of their Under the Pole 3 project, and they will go to Antarctica at the end of the year.
Wow. Okay, so this project here in French Polynesia, you say that was there for about a year?
A bit more, a year and a half.
Wow, so they've gathered and they've gained quite a lot of marine life data within that time.
Yeah, they did like hundreds of deep diving, they sampled the deepest coral in the world, 172 meters, something like this.
Wow. And they were physically out then diving on the rebreathers to those depths to get the samples, and then they would go back to the habitat.
No, not to the habitat. The habitat was just to check if it was possible, and it was apart the deep diving. But the base camp maybe later will be used for deep dives, but at the beginning it was just to stay for 3 days underwater and to observe all the ecosystem around for a few days.
Okay, I'm with you. And did they with the results that they got, was it what they expected?
For the physiological part, sorry, the results were great, because actually after the deep dives we have like vital capacity problems and some lung problems, and we are not that good after deep dives and with hours of deco, but we were wondering after saturation dives and after accelerated deco if divers will face such problems, but actually they were just fine after these dives.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. So after 3 days being in this underwater habitat, you say that to get back up to the surface, normally you would ascend at 30 meters per day.
Yeah.
So but you guys did it in how long?
4 hours, and 2 hours breathing inside the capsule in the rebreather.
So that's incredibly fast, actually, relatively speaking.
Yeah, that's why we were wondering if the divers will they will be after the decompression, but actually saturation decompression are very safe. They're made because after deep diving, the deco at some point became like kind of dangerous. So we are using saturation protocols to ensure the decompression phase. And actually, we accelerated the deco, but it was still we're accelerating deco using more oxygen, and the main part was to calibrate their oxygen toxicity to avoid lung problems or lung issues.
So you haven't noticed any twitchiness, your memory
No,
loss?
no,
You've
no, no,
been
no.
fine ever since, huh?
No, they were just fine actually. The only problem was they spent 3 days and they were in a very small capsule or swimming. So after 3 days in these particular conditions, sometimes it was quite hard to go back to the surface and work on their feet again. So
I think it's great. I think it's fascinating. I don't know if I would want to be stuck in a space the size of an elevator.
I was happy to visit them every day, but I didn't sleep inside the capsule. Actually, I get the dengue at the end of the project. So when I was supposed to try the capsule, I had to.
You had the easy option. You went down, said hi to
Yeah,
them, got the supplies, and then said bye again.
every day. I was supposed to try, but then I got the dengue, so I had to
Yeah.
cancel.
But tell me, like, for the people who are doing this type of diving, staying in the capsules, inevitably there's going to be a risk factor that's involved in it.
Yeah.
What could go wrong with these capsules?
Oh, the capsule is maintained on the back with cables and everything, so you can have damages on the cables. The capsule is just like a big rebreather, so you have to eliminate to filtrate the CO2 with soda lime. So if the filtration system fails, then the divers will be intoxicated with the CO2.
Right.
We are consuming oxygen, so we have to replace oxygen just like in a rebreather. So we can face the same problem exactly as on a rebreather.
And so, but I mean, of course, that's being monitored. That's being monitored by the people in the habitat, or that's being monitored externally by surface.
Both. The capsule was linked to the surface, to the base camp, and we were watching the divers all day long and monitoring them. And if we were noticing any problem, then we had like a support team ready to
It's
rescue
kind of
us.
funny. Like in my mind, I think about taking things underwater to stay dry. So I think about dry suits. Inevitably, we all have a leak. I think of camera housings. At most point, people have had a leak. I'm wondering, are we 100% sure these things don't leak?
Yeah, the capsule at the beginning we have to verify everything and
Got
yeah,
some decent O-rings.
yeah, but we are checking everything and no, the capsule people are living inside, so we have to monitor everything every time. So
Okay. And then when the divers come back out, so their little underwater habitat exploration, their days are done, is it possible for them just to go on another project and go back down again? Or there's limitations as to how much time they can actually spend in saturation?
no, some of them, Guillain, the leader, they can see on the back of the picture.
Yeah.
He repeated the dives on the inside the capsule like a few days after the
You
presence.
must really enjoy that kind of isolation.
Yeah, I think it was quite happy inside. He had a lot of things to think and to handle outside. So maybe.
So for all of us whinging and moaning at the moment about being locked down in a house, this is locked down in a much, much smaller location.
I think that was, but that wasn't that long. Few days only, and after 3 days inside the capsule, the decompression, and then at the end of the dive, we used to have like a little party with the team. So that was great.
So I guess with these guys diving, they're gonna need consumables. They're gonna need their cylinders refilling. They're gonna need to
Yeah.
change their scrubber. So is that part of your role? Were you bringing down more cylinders to them, or how does that work?
Yeah. They had like support team around, and they were changing, refilling the tanks, changing the soda lime for the rebreather, preparing everything.
Yeah.
We were bringing them foods, not only my little tools to evaluate their condition, the condition every day, but
Yeah.
we're bringing them foods and clothes and everything every day. But they can stay for, if there are only two inside, they can stay for 2 or 3 days, maybe without with only a few gears, but not that much.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is it because we don't see enough about this type of projects? I mean, how common is these types of studies using underwater habitats?
It At the beginning of the diving history, it was quite common, but after a few years, all these projects were stopped because um, actually, for the oil industry, for example, they develop um, like diving systems, like with the boat and hyperbaric chamber on the boat, like
Yeah.
a bell to bring the divers at depths and everything. So they're uh, for the industry, that was not the best way to work underwater. But here, the capsule is made for scientific divers, and they need to stay um, at depths to observe the environment. So the goal was different. That was not for our oil industry and workers. So
And so, from that perspective, these type of underwater habitats are there purely from a research perspective. It's not from a pleasure, recreational, come and join us for a couple of days living underwater.
maybe it's a light underwater habitat. So, and it's definitely cheaper than for the oil industry, because the problem is for the diving systems for the oil industry is that these systems are very expensive, uh,
Yeah.
about um, 100,000 euros per day, something like this. So for the scientific divers, that's not possible. So that
No,
was the
sure.
capsule was made for.
But if you had the opportunity and they said to you, right, next project is coming up, it's an underwater habitat, Manu, we need you. We need your expertise. We want you to be underwater with us for a week. Would you do it?
I think I'll do. I was very disappointed to get sick at the end, and I wasn't able to stay a few days inside. But maybe next time.
I think I'm curious. I definitely have a curiosity about it. I definitely have a fascination about it. Um, I just don't know. It's a really small space, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's not that big. For for me inside, maybe if we are two, it's okay. But three, then we have to go outside for 3 hours minimum per
Yeah.
day to have a bit of exercise.
It's like leaving a house and saying, right, I just need to go for a walk. I just need to get some fresh air. At some point, you just need to get away.
Exactly, but the surrounding was quite okay actually. In the just outside the reef in Muria, whales were passing by, and sharks also, and a lot of fishes around. So
Yeah.
that was definitely great.
So listen, in your experience, if somebody was listening to this and they're like, wow, that's super interesting, whether it's the marine biology side, whether it's the underwater habitat side, how would somebody even begin to get involved? What's the starting point?
Uh, I think in this environment, the the marine life is just amazing. So the first thing you're noticing is all the colored fishes on the coral reef, and the life around the turtles, the whales and back whales were crossing around the capsule. So that's, I think it's the first thing you're noticing in this area.
Yeah.
In
So,
French.
I mean, the nice thing is then, I mean, we have see a variety of ecology programs where people can learn more
Yeah,
about that in type of environment.
so,
So,
so many different fishes in that's coral reef. So
yeah. And in the project that you guys were doing, it was all on rebreathers. Does it have to be on rebreathers?
No, but as the deco and the dives were quite long, it's definitely easier with a rebreather. And the gas is limited in French Polynesia. Uh, French Polynesia is made of islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
So if people wanted to actually make the most out of the dives, then probably better to seek some rebreather training to begin with. I mean, you were only at 20 meters, so it's not deep rebreather diving at this point.
No, but long dives from the capsule and for the deep diving we need. But the thing is to lower the decompression sickness risk, we were using helium instead of nitrogen because
Okay.
the risk is something like 2.3 lower with helium. So.
Yeah. And with the studies that you've done, so it's fascinating for me to know that once upon a time you were having to ascend 30 meters per day. You guys came up 20 meters in 4 hours. So obviously there's been a lot of a change in the understanding of what's happening from a decompression perspective.
For us, it was a test for the acceleration of saturation diving, and that was why we were diving at 20 meters because okay, theoretically it was working and we had clue about it, but we had to check it first, starting from shallow dives. Because starting from 100 meters, it's the logistic is definitely more complex, and the problems are different. So the goal was to be sure that we can accelerate these dives and avoid long troubles and keep the divers in a good condition.
So I would just interrupt. We have a couple of questions coming in. So this is a guy from Vincent is asking, did you bring your mice with you?
No, but surprisingly, the divers, we were bringing them food every day, and like a flea came with the food, and it stayed like 3 days with the divers.
Yeah. So the food, Gregory is making a comment here. He's kind of, what food were you guys eating? A little bit of a joke. He's assuming, was it surf or turf?
No, actually, they were eating almost the same of the divers at the surface. The cooking team was preparing them lunch also. Yeah,
preparing them a full cooked meal, and then you would bring it down to them.
Yeah, but the food tastes a bit different apparently inside. So
it's a bit of an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah. But, the helium and the pressure are different. So
okay. Then we have Janine is asking, is there like a designated area to sleep? And I might share my screen again to show the capsule.
Yeah, there are beds, and they are sitting on one of the 3 beds on the picture. No, they are sitting on the bed, and you can see another one just in front of the divers, and the third is on the back. And they were moving the beds. They were like they were using a sleeping position or like a living day position.
It must be really strange, though, right? And listen, based on your knowledge, do you think the way that you personally plan and conduct decompression dives has now changed?
Actually, we were using like knowledges from oil industry in our research lab to develop this protocol. So the thing is, no, we're working on different models, but we're also trying to adapt the existing models like the Billman models. And the thing is more, how can we use mixed gases, specific mixed gases for different types of dives, and also what are the proper settings for this mix and these particular dives.
Okay.
But
so what I want to do now, I'm just going to bring up, if I can, I've lost my screen. 1 second. There it is. So this is now the map. I'm going to share it again. So just wanted to give people an idea. So we know the project was in French Polynesia. If we can just explain to people a little bit more geography-wise about where that is and how to get there.
Actually, it's in that map. It's hard to see how to get there, but it's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, so you can join French Polynesia from United States. There are planes every day from Los Angeles or San Francisco, and or you can fly from New Zealand also.
Okay, and so but if you were coming from Europe, I mean, this is literally the opposite side of the world. How would, if somebody wanted to go, right, I want to come and do some exploration, rebreathe the dive in, I want to come and count some fish over in French Polynesia, I'm based in France, how am I going to get there?
From Paris, it's like 22 hours for the flight, and we're flying from Paris to Los Angeles or San Francisco, and then we're flying again to Polynesia. It's 6 hours more, or something like this.
So basically, I mean, it's about like 2 days of solid travel, I guess.
An entire day in the plane, yes.
Yeah, because I remember when I was heading to Micronesia.
Yeah, almost the same.
Almost the same kind of region, right?
Yeah.
So apart from somebody obviously joining a project or wanting to do that, the type of diving in French Polynesia, so you say you were doing, some of the dives they were doing were like sub 100, some of the deepest coral collection points. So I assume then it's fairly easy to get access to deep water.
Exactly, just outside the reef, and then it's falling down.
Wow.
A few meters away from the reef, you can find 1,000 meters depth. So,
but is there stuff to see? It's not that, okay, we've got deep water. For most people, if there's deep water, but there needs to be something to see.
Oh, no, there are a lot of things to see. So fishes, the French Polynesia are made of corals. So on the coral reefs, you can find a lot of things, and outside you can find a lot of sharks, thousands of sharks in some dive sites, from big hammerhead to tiger sharks or gray sharks and black tips, and a lot of different sharks.
And do you know, I mean, I know that your sort of project was self-supported, but for a traveler wanting to come and do deeper dives, rebreathe the dives, can they get like the logistics easy enough? Are there centers that can provide twin sets?
Yeah, sure. In Tahiti, you will find some dive centers providing twin sets or bailouts for rebreather divers, and filling the tanks and everything. And in Rangiroa also, and you can dive in Rangiroa in the Tiputa Pass in the middle of the sharks with the dolphins, and these dives are amazing. And then you will bring everything also you can find everything also, you will not have to bring it. Then bailouts, twin sets, and whatever you need. But you can dive at 20 or 30 meters, or you can go deeper if you want.
Yeah. And the dive into to sort of reach these sites, it's going to be by a safari boat, by a liveaboard, or it's kind of like day trips. A boat goes out, do a dive, comes back. What's the options?
You'll find everything there. You can find safari boats, but you can also stay on the islands and do a day trip, or even just a single dive from the dive center, and coming back 2 hours later.
Would you know? I mean, with so many islands, it would suggest to me that there's got to be quite a lot of wrecks because islands and boats don't have a very good reputation. Is there much wreck diving to be found?
No, because it's falling
Too
straight
deep.
after the shore. So if you can find wrecks, it will be deeper.
That's it. So maybe there are wrecks there, but it just needs a little bit more deeper exploration to find those wrecks.
Yeah, maybe you can find like caves and a few wrecks. I don't know, but maybe wrecks. If you're not lucky, you will find wrecks at like 500 meters depth.
We might have to leave that for another mission.
Yeah.
But you say there was caves and caverns, perhaps?
Yeah, underwater caves and caverns in the on the under the reef. So
Yeah.
lands big caves.
So it's probably, I mean, I think for a lot of people, they just wouldn't know this area kind of exists, let alone to know that it's got the deep wall dives. You can get support for open circuit diving, rebreather diving. Now I find out it's got the caves and the caverns. So there's a little bit for everybody, really, I guess.
Yeah, and also for recreational divers, you can dive at 10 to 20
Yeah.
meters. And, you'll see a lot of things.
Oh, awesome. Cool. So would you recommend people go there?
Definitely. Honestly, it was one of the best place I've been for scuba diving. Diving in the sharks in the with the dolphin in Tiputa Pass. I think it's definitely among my best dives, but maybe the best.
And you have plans to go back?
Sure, I will when maybe next year. But now we are waiting for the reopening of the flights and
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
yeah.
And listen, before
I
you
may.
leave me, I have a couple more questions here. I have to get my glasses on. I'm getting older. Shima is asking, how many kinds of shark can be found around French Polynesia?
I'm not a specialist, but you can find like I we are crossing there quite easily, like gray sharks, white tips, black tip sharks, like lemon sharks, tiger sharks, uh, hammerhead sharks, and
So we
so
can say quite a
uh,
few.
a lot of sharks, different sharks, and the humpback whales also at a specific moment, and a lot of things.
That I wouldn't have thought of. They must be sort of en route from somewhere to somewhere, I guess.
They're staying in French Polynesia from July to October or something like this, before they move to the south.
So that would be maybe if people wanted to see those, I guess that's kind of like a surface boat trip to see that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have final question here. Tracy asks, softener line or any type of scrubber, is it relatively easy to get at the diving centers?
Yeah, in some diving centers, it's very easy in Rangiroa or Tahiti, Northern to find some.
Yeah.
On the island and who are to dive and stuff, but actually no, it's quite easy to find. It's a bit expensive compared to Europe, but that's an island. So.
In all honesty, if somebody's paid the money to travel for 2 days to get to a location, then I think to pay for a little bit of soft lime is okay.
But if you are going to French Polynesia, don't stay only a week there. You have to plan. There are a lot of islands to visit. So
for sure. But I guess the guidance that we should give is that as much as it is readily available, of course, contact the diving centers ahead of time to make sure that you're in the right area, that they actually have it there available.
Yeah, you'll find a lot of SSI dive center in French Polynesia, so it's not a problem.
Perfect. And we'll plug at this point, so you can check out with the SSI Dive Guide platform, and that will find the locations. Then we have another question here. Maybe you know, maybe not. What would be the price range of diving from a dive center over there? Do you have any idea of the exact prices or rough prices?
It's not that different from the United States. I think it's between 60 euros to 100 euros, depending on the place.
And maybe depending on the type of dive that you want.
Yeah, and about dive also.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Okie dokie, Manny. Listen, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for providing us with an insight literally into living in an underwater bubble. I'm not sure it's everybody's cup of tea. I think majority of us are fascinated by it, and we might leave it to the experts like you to do in the future.
It was a real pleasure to answer your questions, Kat, and thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Good. Take care. Happy lockdown ends, and I look back forward to seeing you when we're back underwater again.
Great.
All right, then.
Everybody.
Take care now. See you later.
Bye.